Gosh.
Hi, everyone. This is January 15th, and we are talking about Venezuela. And we had some technical difficulties with the link, so I hope nobody's still having issues trying to get in. But anyway, we're starting a little bit late, so we won't have quite as much time to talk. And let's just go ahead and get started. Leo, you want to bring us the um,
The
icebreaker?
question. Hi, everyone. My name is Leo. Pronouns he, him. Today's question, I wanted to do something light. So it's if I took you to a tattoo parlor right now and you had to get a tattoo, what would it be? For me, for me, it would have to be anything Native American um, on on my arm or something. Um, I always joke around with my husband and say that he has to get my name on his back that says Leo.
Stop, I'm not a
As
joke.
what?
About that, but that's just an inside joke.
It's because I often, like do my best to, speak the native, speak the language and stuff, and so, it's also part of the culture for in some relationships, in some toxic relationships. Hi everybody, my name is, my name is Jared. My pronouns are any and all of them, and if I were to get a tattoo, it wouldn't be my husband's name. I'm so sorry. Uh, I guess it would just be a Black Lives Matter, like Black Power fist is, like probably somewhere. I don't know where. I've been giving no time to decide. Uh, Carol.
All right, Carol, she, her. And I've been talking about, I was gonna get a tattoo like, what was it, my 40th or my 50th birthday? And I don't know. It just never came around. But the best tattoo I ever saw covered was very colorful and it covered someone's
Whoa.
back and it was like a unicorn, but I think I'd do something on my back that was big and colorful and maybe like an
Ow.
angel or but I'd probably start with a little flower or something like that that the angel could be, nearby. So, okay. Kreger.
Beggar, he, they. I do already have one tattoo, and that tattoo came in the year 2000. I had an inguinal hernia surgery, and it left a scar down there that I didn't like. So I wanted to cover up the scar with art. And so,
Mhm.
since I'm a Scorpio,
Ow.
I finally found a tattoo parlor in Montrose that would work down there,
Hey,
and they put a scorpion. They gave me a scorpion tattoo, and the spine of the scorpion covered the scar perfectly. And so,
Nice.
good
I
job.
think that's brilliant.
oh, and the tattoo hurt far worse than the surgery.
Uh-huh.
Oh,
Really.
really?
And down
Wow.
there.
Sensitive area. Okay, George.
George and any what you want to call me, whatever. First of all, I would never get a tattoo. I'm not in pain. But if I were to get a tattoo, it would be a chihuahua.
Chihuahua. Oh,
Chihuahua.
that's
A
cute.
chihuahua because they're little and but they're mighty.
Mhm.
Sweet. Okay, Suzette, sorry about the link problems. Hopefully somebody, maybe you, can help me get it fixed this this week. But oh, you didn't
So
know
you,
about the link problems?
I probably just forgot about it.
Oh,
Sorry.
okay.
I'll get it.
Okay, anyway.
We just need
Anyway,
to extend the date to.
well, I guess I put in a new date or something, because I got a new link, and so that's what happened. So I'd like to go back to the old link. So anyway, and I tried extending the date on the previous week, and it only let me do 1 week. So
Mm,
I
yeah.
didn't
Okay, we'll get it fixed.
Thank you.
Sorry
Anyway,
about that.
Suzette, we're up to you for the icebreaker, which is if Leo took you to a tattoo parlor and you had to get a tattoo, what and where would it be?
Oh Lord.
Start with your
Um,
name. Start with
okay, so I have a couple, but if I were to get a new one, it would be of Frida Kahlo, and it would be on my forearm because I love her, and it would be facing me, so I could just look at her all the time.
Yay.
Oh, sweet.
I adore Frida Kahlo, and I've been looking for one that I can but I haven't found one that I really like. I mean, if you see one that you think I would like, send it to me and I'll maybe get it.
I don't even know who that is.
Oh,
She's
Really?
an artist from Mexico, and she's no
Revolution.
longer living, but
Yeah.
she's an amazing folk artist, I think was what I would call Frida Kahlo. She was gender bending, mysterious, all kinds of amazing things, but her art is the most amazing thing of all.
Art.
Just
Well, I
beautiful.
have a t-shirt with a cool picture of not it's not actually her, it's Selma Hayek playing in the movie,
That
and
was a good,
she's
that
got
was
her
a
face all painted for Dia de los Muertos. So I
yeah.
think you would like it. I'll have to show
She
it.
was in a horse and buggy accident or something and either broke her back
Oh, I've seen her before.
or
Okay.
something. But she lived a very
Thank you, Craig.
very interesting life. Very much a
Frida
renegade.
calendar.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let let's start with our subject. And last week, Jared, you said you would kind of introduce us to the subject. So just
Yes.
talk to us and to the any audience that might be far in the future or whatever, as if we don't know what's happening.
Yes. So recently there was two things happened in Latin America that unfortunately America was deeply involved in. One, we just bombed some apartments, you know, and killed, I think, over 100 people in those bombings. And two, we kidnapped the president's uh, 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 and their wife, right? And then proceeded to torture the wife and, of Venezuela, and also, try to put the president on trial. Currently, they've had to drop the drug cartel charges because we are the cartel. Right. And the discovery of that is kind of, messy whenever we're involved, right? But right now, yeah, it is, we did do what we are famous for doing in a lot of foreign spaces, except incredibly close to home, right? Because Latin America is just right below us, right? We're famous for doing this overseas. And the trouble is, the bombing of Latin America, plus the kidnapping of the president and their family. It really does. It affects our communities, right? Like, other than the fact that that this is also the home of our lead pastor at the Casa de Todos, right? That's their president. The large Latin community is already experiencing so much ICE related victimization, and now Latin America is being bombed, right? It's crazy because now we are urged to be deported to these spaces or to move back to these spaces, and America is also waging the war, might be bombing these spaces in the near future. Who, it's a catch-22. It's kind of like what we do with the like what we've done to our trans and queer brothers and sisters and non-binary folks, right? Where we've, eliminated their entry into restrooms, and we've eliminated their ability to receive resources, right? And we've, cut them off from like leaving, right? But we also don't want them to stay. We have rules in place to outlaw them, right? It's a form of systemic oppression. And I thought it was really important to highlight this because it is so near to, well, my heart. But also it is so near to us because this is literally us doing these things.
Mhm.
Yes, and I understand you brought up ICE, and I just saw this was on a post about Renee Nicole Good from one of MCC's previous clergy members, and somebody was commenting on it that the ICE forces in their city were being just really increased, and the force increased because their senator voted to decrease President Trump's um, ability, his power in this situation in Venezuela. So, I mean, I think I mean, it's definitely all related, and I like how you brought it together. And my understanding, I mean, it certainly looks like all this was motivated by greed for oil rights. Um, but it has also sparked many other discussions about wars in other countries, which may have nothing to do with oil, may be related. So some of it's related, but it's just getting so complex and scary. Who else knows anything about the legal ramifications or what's happening in Congress regarding this situation?
It seems to me that basically the Republican controlled Congress is doing nothing, and they're doing it really well. Because things continue to happen without any checks and balances whatsoever, which is frightening. But I wonder what Ulysses and Will Cano, and I can't remember who else I know from La Casa de Toros that is actually from Venezuela. I know Gaston, but I don't think he goes there anymore. I wonder what they're actually saying about this. Do they think it's a bad thing? Is it a good thing? Because I don't know that, if I can recall, I'm not sure that Ulysses was a fan of Maduro or.
Well, even if you're not a fan, I don't know. This doesn't seem like the action that it doesn't seem like the best action to change that situation.
Right. Like
Jared?
it's complicated because like you can be like a really terrible leader because people in positions of power at this time everywhere, including locally, are trash, right? Like including the state government and everything, right? But at the same time, we also have to recognize that, you know, that does them being trash, right? Doesn't give us a right to white supremacists bully our way, and entitled to being entitled to their land, their resource, their whatever, right? Because it's like even if we believed hypothetically, it was some form of like dictatorship, right? Is this is this what it takes? Is this what it means? Because like many people outside of us think that we're in a dictatorship right now too, right? Thought that we were in a dictatorship under Obama's, thought that we were in a dictatorship under, all these different presidents before us, right? That was the propaganda from all foreign countries. All foreign countries think that everywhere is in a dictatorship because that's kind of necessary to ratify people if we ever come to war with another people. That's why we always pose that China is a dictator, in some sort of weird dictatorship. That's why we always pose that all foreign entities are just terrible, right? You've seen the propaganda on Mexico, right? And how terrible it is, right? But like everybody wants to go to Capo, like everybody wants to go to all these different spaces. And it's just really, yeah, like it is. Because like I for one, me personally, like I'm sure Maduro has like a lot of stuff that is really really messed up because he is as a person in the position of power is terrible, and there's a lot of stuff that I know about Maduro that I don't personally agree with, right? But he's very charismatic in the same way that Trump is, right? But at the same time, the idea of bombing his people, of like abducting him and torturing his wife,
Right.
I can never get behind that because that's what we do for.
Right, and the bombing targeted civilians, didn't it?
It had nothing to do with any political anything. It was crazy. Like it was random. Could have been done without the bombs.
What I find interesting is that during the first administration, there was this isolationist tone. We're going to pull out of NATO because NATO is not paying for its own defense and US is paying for most of it. So we're just going to retreat within our own borders. And now this time it's kind of like he's acting like Putin, just randomly invading countries because they want, we want Greenland and we're just going to go get it. And so I think that the turnaround here, this 360-degree turnaround, I wonder if Stephen Miller is the one that's behind this, or who.
Well, I mean, especially the way that Greenland is being talked about, just really, I mean, it's like the classic definition of colonialism. It's just so much of a step backwards. Yes, Leo.
Yes. I keep up with Mexican politics, especially because I'm from Mexico. And this all started with talks of, if y'all remember, this all started with talks of the Mexican cartel, right? Because he had plans, the orange guy had plans to attack Mexico first, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what he didn't plan is that, I don't know if y'all know, but this is like very quiet. It's not spoken of, right? But Mexico has a lot of artillery from Russia, right? Like AMLO is the previous president. The current president of Mexico is Claudia Sheinbaum. But AMLO put into place where he wanted to reinforce the infrastructure of the security of Mexico. So, it's very downplayed, but he did get a lot of artillery, heavy armor from Russia, and also China. I don't know, but China really loves Mexico, and China wouldn't back down from a fight, right? And so that's the reason why I believe that they didn't attack Mexico. But but also they are mad because ever since this new party, because it is a socialist party, it's a very uh, well received socialist party that they have now in Mexico, and they've taken the money that the old politicians, the corrupt politicians, because the corrupt politicians have sold Pemex. Pemex is their oil companies. They're in Mexico, one of the biggest ones, right? Mm-hmm. And they had sold, I believe, I think, don't quote me on this, but I think it was 5 refineries. They had sold 3. Mm-hmm. They had outsourced 3. He managed to buy, I think, all 3, and he did, he repaired them and everything, and now they're doing what they can with the oil. And from that, he bought back one of the airlines from Mexico as well. He constructed the Mayan train. He's done a lot. Like he put in place pensions for the elderly. He put in place pensions. Claudia Sheinbaum put pensions for the women only as well. So they're doing a lot of good things, right? And what the U.S. doesn't like is that the peso is becoming stronger, mm-hmm. and the U.S. dollar is being devalued, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what they don't like. And AMLO also took away one of the biggest mines from Mexico, which is called what is it called? Galicia. It's called Galicia, mm-hmm. right? And that was, yes, it was a limestone mine, mm-hmm. right? But they took a lot of stones from there, and including, they had other mines such as like they were taking a lot of minerals to create all the electric batteries for the electric vehicles. And AMLO shut that down as well, along with gold and silver mines, because he said, no, this does not belong to the U.S. and they literally are stealing our minerals, our gold, and our silver. And I'm no longer going to allow that. So they stopped all of that. So, of course, that's why the U.S. is mad and is saying that the cartel, right? And they started with the talk of Mexico. We're going to attack Mexico, but really stop and think, why haven't they attacked Mexico? Right.
And, then they decided to target.
The next most vulnerable.
Because they didn't receive any sort of foreign aid. They didn't receive any sort, like Maduro didn't do a lot of the foreign enterprising.
And what Claudia Sheinbaum's tactic is what we call it in Mexico. She's playing the chameleon. She's not falling into Donald Trump's tactics, right? Mm-hmm. She's just playing really nice, really cordial, but she's not to be underestimated. And so that's what I love about her.
And so the politics of it, right, is a lot of this actually is related to, power, right, and to the mineral outsourcing, the fact that we did lose something that we were leeching off of, right? And
for years,
right? Because we stopped. Mexico has stopped being a puppet state for the states, right? But we need more. And so it is the oil, and it's so much to do with what we've lost too, but it's so absolutely, what I find to be mind-boggling is how many people have shifted to being super duper okay with the bombing of Latin America, right? The mental gymnastics that people have played, who've been people who've been like, oh yeah, take us out of Afghanistan, Iraq, historically speaking, right? The Middle East, right? Now are singing the tune of, yeah, I want Greenland, right? Yeah, I want,
because those are the most vulnerable. He's attacking. He knows who he's attacking,
and it's so culty because it's like they cudgel Biden and they cudgel Obama for all these things, right? And it's stuff that we're doing right now that is it is exactly what the stuff that we would cudgel previous presidents for. And it's so it's so culty. It is because we don't there. I can see the critical thinking fail. I can see people literally just only say these talking, only care about these issues because they'll lose their racist, Trump rally community. And it's so sad.
And they haven't played it here, and it's not on the news, but Claudia Sheinbaum already deployed a lot of the military all over Mexico.
To the border.
To the border, but specifically all over Mexico. And they tried, they're painting her with like, oh, she's protecting the cartel. No, she's not. No, she's not. It's just, it's politics.
And
it's just so very nasty
because it completely, nowadays, it is completely ensorcelled in cult stuff, right? Because like it has become a weird cult where people think that this is a Christian thing, where Manifest Destiny is Christian. And, I hate what it does to people because these are your neighbors, these are your friends, these are people who still think that it's okay to vote for these people, and it really pains me.
And Mexico just wants a better life for its citizens because the people from Mexico have suffered for almost 200 years.
Yeah.
They've only
so you like the president, right, Leo? I think it was Suzette I was talking to earlier this week about liking the president of Mexico.
Icon, absolutely.
Okay. So yeah, let's talk about colonialism and which you brought up with Manifest Destiny, and the idea that is Christian. I think that's where our action as people of faith needs to really target is the whole is just we need to take over the narrative of what Christianity is. We need to take it away from white Christian nationalists, and we've talked about this a lot. And Kreger has brought up several times the book that we talked about in book club about that. I'm currently taking a class. I just started it this week called Decolonizing Christianity. So that's just kind of one piece of it. But I mean, I think that's a really good place to start. Just this idea that we have the right to just, whoever has the power has the right to just take over. And that idea throughout, well, at least throughout this country's history, has been justified, as Jared mentioned, by the idea that that the Israelites were given the promised land, and that I mean, Israel. When did Israel itself become a nation state? It was, how many centuries after that story in the Old Testament. So I mean, people are getting those things confused with where they're throwing their support. Anyway, I just want to does anybody have are we in agreement with what I'm saying about colonialization, and that we need to disrupt the narrative about how we use the Bible to justify that?
Yeah. I've, as part of my practicing the way, I've been going through the New Testament again for the first time. And I'm quite shocked because I just didn't remember this. The first time I read it was how many times the Apostle Paul is telling, slaves to be, 100%, to their masters and to serve with joy and gladness and all this. And so, I don't know that's and geez, it's not there once. It's there like 4 or 5 times, and it's in these various epistles that Paul wrote. And so changing the narrative, so yeah, I think in some ways that narrative has been changed over the years. But that task seems quite monumental. Um, I'm just, I'm just feeling just really tired and just so drained and so like, what can little me do? You know, where can I send my $25 check?
Well, yeah, that's sometimes it's hard to know where to put our support behind. So and it certainly is easy to get overwhelmed and to not know what to do.
Well,
There,
and I think that's the fatigue is just like I think it's nationwide. I mean, we have 50-hour a week jobs, and then, you've got a couple of free hours on the weekend to do this or that. And then you have now just every single day being bombarded with one political nightmare after the other. It's exhausting.
it's exhausting. You're right. That our power is in our community, and I would love to see that we had some agency um, within our church community to make a difference. Um, uh, and I know there's a lot of resistance to that. There's a lot of people um, just saying, don't get involved, and that's not what we're here for. But isn't it? Isn't George and Suzette, you've been quiet about oh, I now see a hand, so I won't put you on the spot, but maybe after Jared and Leo,
But
maybe I can put
yeah,
some.
you put them on the spot, but I kind of want to make sure we all know that there are, yeah, exactly what Carol said, right? Like for Houston, right? Like there's like the Fiel Houston Latino civil rights organization that they literally fund for, immigration attorneys and stuff, or people going through any sort of immigration related issues, or really just interacting with ICE, because you don't have to be immigrating or anything to need an attorney to navigate that, right? Even if you were wrong, especially if you were wrongfully imprisoned, shackled, or whatever, right? Which is a similar model, by the way. They use a similar model, by the way, to the original Black Panther Party, right? Where they would, it was a lot of community-led things, right, to support people both protesting and getting out of the prisons whenever they were protesting, right? Like that's kind of like they do the 10-point model. But yes, like definitely like you have to do locally though, because your voice, is just one voice. It's a beautiful voice, by the way, Gregor. But it is simply one voice. However, whenever you connect and actually have the practice of talking and having those really, really difficult conversations, right, with your community, you can get a lot of stuff done, right? You can get a lot of stuff done. Because if you're a part of a church, right, you're a part of a job, right? You're a part of a GODTALK, right? And you are, a part of a larger queer community that you could just join at any moment, right? And all together, all of those isms, all those groups, all together, that's a lot of people, you know. And so within those groups, you can make a difference.
Well, we've got our Practicing the Way meeting coming up this Sunday, Uprising, which it's this core group of people that is really trying to model the behavior of Jesus, that actually things that Jesus actually did in the Bible and not what other people said and all that. So we'll see if our group can brainstorm this Sunday and come up with one or two ways to, we have to talk about what would Jesus be doing in this situation. And so how can we model that?
Right. Okay, George.
Okay. I just can't see why we can go in and bomb a country and take their president and who's going to be next and all this immigration crap. And now he's going to send soldiers, and that means people who are in the service are going to be, their parents are going to be scared because now their kids are going into going to be fighting for what? And it's Trump who just takes the attention and action off of something else, like Epstein, and comes up with something else. And when is it going to end? And then the other thing is, Houston has not been hit as hard as some other cities. And I can see that because I finally went to a march, or not protest, but something Saturday by Invisible. And it's like the No Kings. Houston isn't in the lead with participation in anything right now. And I think they should be. And I don't know what it's going to take to, like you guys said, get more involved, because it takes people to get out there in the streets and involved. And I haven't been involved for quite a few years, but I'm trying to get back involved and listen to people and see what's going on out there. And because I'm not the smartest person in this pack to know what's really going on, but I have my thoughts and feelings, and I just think that it's not been hitting in our, it has been hitting in our home, but not enough for everybody to come about. Because I used to go out on the marches for transgender. I used to go out on the marches for the gay and lesbians. I used to go out on marches for this and that and protest. And we used to have a lot of people do that, but it hasn't, and I thinking about it tonight and what you guys said, I need to put this in my prayers. I haven't put it on my prayers as the national. I just put it in my prayers as my little bitty my little bitty space around here, my friends and my, just the city. And I need to put it my prayers in for the country, for us, for people who are, yeah. So thank you for
Prayers are powerful. Thank you for your
thinking for
example.
me, thanking
And
more.
and you it may have been years, but you're doing it now. And thank you for that inspiration of what you're doing, getting out and protesting, and what a good reminder about prayer. And yeah, I know some people who pray for the government and pray for peace and peace on earth, and pray for hunger to be ended. And then I know other people who are like, what an audacious prayer. How can hunger's never going to be ended? But, if we don't start with that
Mhm.
imagination, with that desire to see the the evils in our world ended, then, then, we, then we just don't have the oomph to get out and start doing something. So I think prayer is a beautiful place to start, and what a great inspiration about what you've been doing, George. Krager?
Was wondering if anybody here is familiar with the books by author Hal Lindsey from the early 1970s. He wrote The Late Great Planet Earth, Satan is Alive and Well on Planet Earth, and There's a New World Coming. These were all like within the span of 3 years.
I remember TV commercials.
Yeah, he was
I think
okay.
I read The Late Great Planet Earth, but that was a very long time
Well,
ago, and I don't remember it at all.
it was 73 when he wrote There's a New World Coming. And if I'm not mistaken, in that book, he was talking about in 1973 how eventually planet Earth would be under the control of three countries, the United States, Russia, and China. everything. So these three superpowers were just going to be dividing up the entire planet, and and that's just the way it's going to be. And, and it's so I'm seeing the events of the last few weeks, and I'm starting to think, wow, this book was written in 1973, and I find it interesting because we see that China wants to take over Taiwan or somebody Singapore or and Russia is already in Ukraine and would just as soon I'm just as soon have Poland and Denmark and Norway. So I wonder if this is where we're headed. If we're just headed to three just superpowers running everything.
Well, that's a very depressing thought.
I mean, but that is the I mean, we've used the same models for governance since then, right? Like it hasn't capitalism hasn't changed, right? And statism hasn't changed, right? And so like whenever you have that exact same model and in those exact same spaces and there's no growth, there's no maturation, there's only the environment getting worse and everyone getting far more far right. Like it's a natural direct, like it's an understandable prediction. Now, like whether or not all the spaces have to be, like the worst, that's really up to the peeps, like we kind of are in charge of that, right? Because at the end of the day, we are the people and like all we are 100% of the power of capital and the state, and we do all where everybody does this thing, we are, me included, we all included, where we're waiting for something, for our Messiah to save us. We need a pastor. I need a senior pastor, right? To before we can start being unracist. I need there needs to be a Mondani that runs for president, right? Like there needs to be we're waiting for them, right? When really, like all that needs to happen per the laws is enough people storms the Capitol, and then that's it, right? It's really that simple, right? People will die, and that's something we're scared of. That's a risk we're not willing to take, right? But people are dying.
People are dying, and I don't know that. I mean, a violent overthrow just does one hierarchy over another. Just I was talking about that a little bit in my sermon, that's like
Right, right,
just yeah, waiting for a savior, waiting to elect the next right person in our government or in our church is not what we need to be doing. We need to be doing what we can, raising our voices, making our votes count, making, yeah. And so I think just showing up here today is one step in that. So I want to thank you all for that. And Jared, you brought up earlier all the things that we can do. Um, and um, and I think that, I mean, those things are just limitless. What we can do, even just um, like George said, starting with prayer, starting with just using your voice in your spaces, like you told Kreger, just just paying attention and just it makes a difference. I really do think it makes a difference, and I'd like to believe that the tide is turning a little bit, just from the rhetoric I see, and um, uh, time will tell if that's true. But I'm definitely seeing people standing up, and I mean Renee Good and all the protests that have come from that. and the people that are speaking up. I've seen some people like we're starting to hear from some Republicans, for example, who are challenging some of these notions, and I think it's making I think it is going to make a difference. I have to believe that.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's easy to get that feeling of what can I do next, right? Or
Right.
what can I do, or what more can I do? Because I get that feeling all the time. I do. Because I feel like I could do more. I feel like, it's not just brown people that are under attack. It's every single one of us. And even though, Krager, you might see that we're like you say, we're doing we're in every little group and we're constantly busy, but but for this particular situation, what our country is going through, yeah, I have those moments, and like George, I do go and pray every single morning um, at between 9:30 and 10 a.m. In the prayer room at work, and I always ask God, like, please just help me do the next best thing, and help me not to be a bystander for whenever I run into a situation that people need help. And protect me, like, please protect me, because I know that I can get real passionate, and I don't care. I've told my husband, if I have to stand up for if I have to stand up for someone, I'm not afraid. I'm not. Because I always remember the words that Lynn said. God didn't give us the spirit of fear.
We love you, Leo. Thank you for sharing with so much openness and vulnerability. That's really beautiful.
So have y'all heard James Tallarico speak? He's the gentleman running for Senate, for the US Senate in Texas now, against whomever, Ken Paxton, John Cornyn. Well, if you have a few minutes and go actually listen to James Tallarico speaking, he's so calm, and he's actually speaking Jesus to power. He's actually coming through and saying, would Jesus be happy with what we're doing with the immigrants when, the Bible gives, X amount of examples of how you're supposed to welcome the immigrant, welcome the stranger? And he is just one right after the other. And I was just thinking, Leo, maybe that's where my $25 can go to the campaign of James Tallarico, because he's saying words that feel good on my heart. They sound like words of love and not words of politics.
I get lots of texts from him asking me for money.
He probably needs it. Yeah.
Here you go, here you go, here you go.
I do too. I just, even though I don't live in Texas, I still have a Texas phone number. So yeah, but it does seem like Texas needs a lot more help than New Mexico.
Well, Bob Stubblefield really is behind him. He's
Right.
one of Bob has been working on his campaign and walking for him.
Yeah,
This is
Bob
office.
Stubblefield was the guy that he sent me the first
Yeah.
link to go watch James, and I was like, I was blown away. And then James came to our church one day to Uprising and spoke, and I was like, wow, this guy is really powerful, and he's so calm. It's just, yeah,
Wow.
it's just,
Well,
he sounds loving when he talks. He doesn't sound like he's mad, and all.
I want to say something before we leave. Thank you, Carol, for your awesome sermon Sunday. I'm hoping that you can be in the pulpit more. I don't know how much it takes from you. I know it takes some time and effort that they don't give you, but I really appreciate what you say and how you say it. And I really have loved your two sermons that you've given us. So I'm looking forward to some more. Kudos to
Thank
you.
you so much, George. And yeah, I get pretty stressed about everything, and then I cause stress for people like Suzette. But she pulled it off. But yeah, it does feel meaningful to me, and I not only appreciate your thanks, but also appreciate that you said it in front of the person who makes those decisions about wanting me to preach more. So I really appreciate you speaking up like that. And I think I'm looking forward to hearing Velma
Yeah.
so and she messaged me kind of asking, okay, is there one sentence from your sermon that you'd like me to highlight? And I was like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful thing to ask. How nice that she did that. And so I'm really looking forward to hearing what she has to say, and I'm really looking forward to our retreat too.
Yes.
I
Yes.
will
He's an elder.
say, I took the survey. It was difficult. I didn't know how to not out myself
Oh,
in the survey.
All the
I said it anyway. I just said it anyway.
yeah, that's how you
I just said
all
it
the
anyway.
data gets scrambled, and all the names and all the things information in them get scrambled so that anything revealing is immediately like but
And when they asked some of those questions, I was like, holy shoot. Wow, I never really thought about this, but
Yeah, me either.
That was a really well done survey.
Mhm.
And yeah, and I just appreciate how particularly Jared and Leo, how you've just stuck with the church instead of just criticizing from the outside, just saying, see ya. And
oh, this needs to be
but I
fixed.
appreciate how you've
that did,
created this movement. And I hope like I ended I hope that this really does become that the whole movement toward liberation, toward anti-racism. We got to keep saying those words, anti-racism.
yeah.
But it's so layered. There's so many layers to it that, maybe this didn't ever affect you, but holy crap, these five things did.
Mhm.
When it's like,
It's the ripple effects,
oh my.
And it's all, yeah, and it's all braided together. It's
Mhm.
all it's all part and parcel. So wow.
And
So that's another action item that with this group has brought up. Look how much we're doing in the world.
it tell you that it might seem that it's been really easy for Leo and Jared, but it hasn't. It really hasn't. Because when that first happened, my heart was shattered.
Yeah.
I was having such a hard time because especially Sundays. Oh, Sundays were so difficult for me.
Mhm.
Yeah. But
It's hard
hey,
to come back. It's hard to come back when you're shattered.
but
It's so hard.
we're here.
Because like leaving and talking a mess about y'all behind y'all's back doesn't work. So we're here to say it to your face.
So next week, God Talk is our last one before the retreat. So do we want to
Question.
talk about just maybe the just the things that are coming up for the retreat. Maybe that would be a good subject for next week. Yes,
I
Susan?
almost said Reverend Jackie, Pastor Jackie, but it's just Jackie mentioned that she wanted us to talk about something. Did they ever come forward with what it was that they
Oh,
wanted us
it's
to talk about?
extravagant
She wanted
generosity.
our group to do. Okay, so in February is the
Extravagant generosity.
extravagant generosity campaign. And so Jackie sent me materials that are um like a complicated devotion that she wanted us to use in our God Talk meetings. And I made it clear that that format doesn't work, but I promised to bring up the subject and we can talk about it from any angle that we want to. So we will do that in February. Um, I'm just being true to my word. And
It should have been brought up last month. I'm on that committee and that campaign, and we've gotten new people in positions and roles, and with the this other thing going on, and then this is going on, and other things are going on. It is a bit much. It is a bit much. So we've drug our
I
feet.
get what I think that the church is looking at as like, okay, we've got this retreat, and then we're moving on to the next subject. And that's what I tried to end my sermon with. This is not a one-time thing.
No.
And collective liberation needs to be woven in to the extravagant generosity campaign to begin with. I mean, that's the next thing on the church's agenda. And if we have already just, a little more than a week after the retreat, forgotten what we talked about, then it's,
Yeah.
for naught.
So
So that's when I say we're going to talk about extravagant generosity, we're going to do it from a collective liberation point of view.
absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
Believe me, they want that too.
and I think
I
maybe
have a
they
lot
do,
of
but those
thoughts.
materials are not conducive.
I know they're it's huge. It is so
I wish
huge.
they would do a
Said it, and
survey
it's on
about
the
that.
recording. Oh my goodness.
I need to
But
do a survey about that because the actual methodology.
I love it when people in positions of power make decisions without consulting the people that they're harming. I love it. And so I will make sure that you are all aware that we were not consulted for this. And just like we weren't consulted when it came to selling the church because we voted on it and we didn't, this is a big concern that we will bring up in board meetings.
well, yeah. Okay, let's talk about this next week. Wait, Kreger, you got to pray us out.
I gotta go. I'm already almost 10 minutes over
Yeah.
of my
Sleeping time.
Let's go to bed.
All right. Okay, gotcha. Go ahead and pray us out, and we'll
Holy Spirit, we're grateful for another God Talk. We gather as a community to listen to each other. We gather as a community to learn from each other. We gather as a community hoping that we're building each other up, helping each other to do the next right or the next good thing. And I think that's why we're here every Thursday, week after week after week after week. So bless us on this endeavor. Give us the courage and the strength, one foot in front of the other, one breath after another, to do your mission on this planet. We ask in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Man.
Thank you, Gregor.
Good night. Love y'all.
Love you. See you tomorrow, Craig.
Bye-bye.
Okay.